Hello everyone and welcome back to the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight I'm going to continue with my sample playthrough of my new scenario for Fallen Lands 2nd Edition, The Children of the Ashen Veil. Currently our party is back at our starting base in Pennsylvania. We'll be starting turn 4 and the devotion level is currently at 3 and our resistance has dropped to 1. Unfortunately, we moved up our prestige up to 5, but we've lost some ground in the last turn, so we're currently at 1. We need to get that to 20 to win this scenario. These are currently the characters that we have. Well, we've got currently 28 salvage coins, so we're getting up close to being able to purchase another town technology, which would be great. I found out I had one oversight. When we started with 1 Upton, it says when 1 is drawn, gain 1 town defense chip. So we should have had 3, really. So I'm going to place our 3rd out there. And town defense chips in this scenario are very important. Right now we have a movement bonus of 4, and our resources are 2 town health and 4 salvage per turn. All right, we're going to start turn 4. We begin with our effects phase. There is nothing to do with that effects phase in this turn. We'll move on to the town business phase, and we're going to receive our action card. Our action card is Leadfoot. Play during the party exploits phase. Choose any party to move up to 6 extra hexes. Well, that's pretty good. And now we'll draw our town events card, and that says Heroes Wanted. When times were tough last month, the most capable locals stepped up to help make your town a better place for all the residents. Hopefully, with a little luck and by setting an example, other citizens will be inspired to step up and help too. At least that's the theory. During the end phase, if you do not have 2 character cards in your town roster, then we'll have to roll a d10. All right. Well, currently we have 2 characters in our town roster, but I have this action card, and it says play any time except during an encounter, mission, or PvP to draw 2 character cards. They may immediately be switched with your current party members or placed into your town roster. So we've got a way to boost that up, and we'll probably end up using that. All right, next is our resource production. Well, we've got 2 town health and 4 salvage coming, which is great. That moves us up to 32 salvage, and our town health will move up to 34. Okay, we'll move on to the auction house phase, and these are the 3 cards that we've got available to us. A tube of super lube, warehouse of building supplies, and blower or supercharger. All right, well, this is an event. Let's see what this is. It says during game setup, discard, and draw a new spoils card. Otherwise, immediately upgrade one of your town technologies. So, well, and it has no cost. So, well, we'll definitely do that. We can upgrade one of our town technologies. We will do that. The other cards are equipment, mechanical and vehicle equipment. Well, if we're planning on buying another town technology, we won't have enough to purchase that plus get one of these items. So I think we'll pass on these. Well, with this event, warehouse of building supplies, we are able to immediately upgrade one of our town technologies. So I think we will do that. I'm going to do the learning center. We'll upgrade that. And that's going to give us 2 successes for diplomacy. We're going to move on to our sell and purchase phase, and I've got a few items I'm going to get rid of since we're back at our hometown. I was able to offload this trunk of unlimited disguises, and we're going to sell these 2 items, Rake of Wounding and trunk of unlimited disguises. That'll be 10 salvage coins. We'll move on now to our purchases, and I think I'm going to purchase a town technology called Garrison, and we're going to purchase that. It's going to cost us 30, so we'll pay 30 salvage for that. And that is going to get us 5 town health and 1 prestige along with an automatic combat success. That'll move our prestige up to 2 and our town health up to 39. And I think at the same time I'm going to play this recruit card. Play any time except during an encounter mission or PvP. Draw 2 character cards. They may immediately be switched with your current party or placed in the town roster. So we'll do that. And the new town characters are going to be Wendy Longren. She is a faction bureaucrat. And we have Monica Pitcher. It says when Monica is in the same party as her husband Bill Pitcher, all hexes cost 1 movement. So it'd be nice if we could get that pair to work out. Wendy has once per game allow another party character to use their special ability a second time, but not twice in the same turn. Once per game during the end turn phase, look at another player's town roster and take 1 character card. Equip it or place it in the town roster. Well, we're going to place these 2 in the roster, and now we'll have the players that we need when the end turn phase comes to resolve that Heroes Wanted town card. Okay, we're going to move on to the party exploits phase. We have 4 weeks to spend this turn, and I think we'll start out with a movement deed. And we'll see how much movement we have available to us. We've rolled a 5. Our movement bonus is 4, so we've got 9 movement points. All right. And I think we're going to head for this resource location. So we'll move 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have 3 weeks remaining, and I think we are going to spend 2 of them to do a resource deed. And I think once again I'm going to select a plains encounter. All right, and the event is revealed to be bird is the word. The ground is littered with bird carcasses as far as the eye can see. A closer look reveals a startling assortment of deceased fowl. Maybe they were fleeing from something, perhaps an irradiated rainstorm, or perhaps something much, much worse. All right, we're going to gain 1 salvage, and then we have to perform a level 3 medical and level 3 survival. All right, we'll make our test for the level 3 medical. Okay, those are the results. Doesn't look too bad. We'll place those on the crowns and analyze it. All right, it ends up we have 4 successes. So we've passed the medical. Now we have to do the survival roll. Okay, here's the survival roll. All right, and that doesn't look too bad either. Let's see if we can pass this. And it ends up we've got 5 successes. So we've passed both of the checks, and we'll be able to read the success portion. That's great. So the success text reads, "You take precautions. However, your brief exposure to the virus induces painful vomiting. Afterwards, everyone feels better. Bird stew, anyone? Squab on a stick?" The smartass in your party suggests, smirking as he wipes the bile from his chin. Okay. There is nothing of value here. All right, so we get no benefit from passing that encounter, but what we do get is control of the resource hex. And we'll place our control marker there, and that's going to move up our resources up 1 additional. We'll be at +3 town health and 9 salvage per turn. And I almost forgot something. The devotion level for the Ashen Veil is currently at 3. So this condition, devotion 3, Veilfire Pilgrims, is in effect. Income during the town phase is -1, as Veilfire Pilgrims drain or destroy regional supply. So we should have reduced ourselves by 1 in our resources part of the turn. So I'm going to return 1 salvage coin back. We should have done that. All right, we have 1 week of time left, and I think we're going to do a move deed. And we'll see what kind of movement we get. I'm thinking about actually heading down towards Oklahoma here and trying to launch an attack on that church of the Children of the Ashen Veil. We'll see how this works. Okay, we rolled a 1, so we've got a total of 5 movement points. 5. And I think we'll just move over some plains terrain. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll move there. And that is going to bring our party exploits phase to a close. We'll move on to the end phase. All right, during the end phase, we're going to resolve our town event card. That says during the end phase, if you do not have 2 character cards in your town roster, roll a d10. Well, we have a total of 3, courtesy of that faction card that we played, or action card, I should say. And so we don't have to roll on this. That could have caused us some problems. So we managed to avoid that issue. Next step in the end phase is we have to resolve a red dot action card. That's done no matter what happens, whether we've got hostile factions on the board or not. We always resolve at least 1. And the card is revealed to be Bridge Out. Play during the party exploits phase on an opponent. Well, it's going to be on us. They receive a 2-week penalty chip and roll a d6. On a 1 or 2, each of their party characters take 2 physical damage, which ignores armor. Okay, well, they're going to play that card during the next opportunity, our next party exploits phase. Our next step is to make a undiscovered faction roll. We're going to roll a d6. On a 1, a random faction will become known to us. All right, here is the roll. Rolled a 6, so no action for the undiscovered factions. We won't have to worry about any hostile factions because none are known to us. And there will be no faction raids at this time. So we're going to move on to the Ashen Veil actions. We're going to roll a d6 and consult the table, and they're also going to increase their devotion level. So Ashen Veil devotion will move up to 4. Their next break is going to be at level 6, and they'll be getting extra abilities once they hit that benchmark. Our next step in the end phase is to make a roll on the Veil table, and we'll see what the Ashen Veil are up to. Here's the roll. Okay, the result is a 1, and that reads Gather Ash. The children gain control over 2 random locations adjacent to a previous controlled location. All right. So what this means is we're going to be placing destruction markers on the nearest random locations to an existing location. And this is measured not in movement points, but in hexes. So their church right now, their point of interest is at that location. So we'll have to find the closest numbered locations by hexes. So definitely that hex is going to be converted by them. And the next one here is 3. That's 2, so I guess it'll be there. So they've taken control of those 2 areas. Now, what we can do by moving into those locations, these are not a military force. They're more psychological and doctrinal than anything else. So what we can do is move into those locations, and if we can complete an encounter of any kind in that space, and if we're successful, we can remove the token. Now the problem is they have influence, so when we move in there, any encounter that we take is going to be at a -1 success. So we would total our total successes and subtract 1 from that. And that would apply to any tests that we have to make there. So by doing so, though, when we're able to eliminate all of their control on the map, their point of interest would be re-established somewhere else on the board, but they're going to lose devotion level. And that'll keep that devotion from rising and then them gaining extra resources and abilities. So all that remains in the turn is to advance the turn marker. That'll move up to 5. And that's where we're at right now. So we're ready to begin turn 5, and we'll begin with the effects phase. Well, we've got no wounded characters with either radiation or infected damage to worry about, and there's no active events that have to be resolved. So we'll go to the town business phase and we'll gain our action card. The action cards reveal to be Old Stomping Ground. Play during your party exploits phase. Draw 2 free spoils cards. Then you may move your party up to 3 hexes. One of your party members grew up here. Okay. Next is our town event, and that's listed as Baby Boom. Remember that terrible storm last winter when the entire town had to batten down the hatches for 3 days straight and huddle together under blankets to keep warm? That was 9 months ago. For every 20 town health you currently have, draw a character card and place them in your town roster. If you have a Tier 1 Medical Center token, gain 1 additional character for every 20 town health you currently have. If you have a Tier 2 Medical Center, instead gain 1 additional character for every 10 town health. So, well, our town health is currently at 39. Well, we don't have a medical center, but we do have 39 town health. And that is going to entitle us to a character. And the end phase says, if you procure or upgrade a medical center town technology before the end of this turn, draw 1 character card and place it in your town roster. All right. So we are going to gain 1 character, and it's revealed to be Mac Luther, Soldier of Fortune. All right. If Mac is killed in PvP, choose an opposing character to die with him. The character and their equipment is discarded. NPCMs involved sustain 5 damage instead. He has a bonus for heavy weapons, and he's got some pretty good stats here. So for right now, he is going to go into our town roster. Next is our resource production. We're entitled to 9, and we're going to lose 1 because of the Ashen Veil's level on the devotion track. So we'll be getting 8 salvage. It's going to move us up to 20 salvage, which is pretty nice. And now we're going to move on to our auction house, and we'll see what's available to buy. All right, we've got a relic, the Duke's cowboy outfit, a police interceptor, and vehicle equipment, portable generator. Equip to a vehicle with 4 or more wheels. And that gives us some benefits for that. It is going to cost us 1 movement point bonus, though. Well, I think I'm going to purchase the Duke's cowboy outfit. I always like John Wayne, so we will purchase that for 14. It'll move us down from 20 down to 6. And we'll purchase that Duke's cowboy outfit. So we're going to purchase that Duke's cowboy outfit, and that has to go into our auction house. We can't equip it until we move through our home city. The other 2 cards will be discarded. Well, I don't think we're going to be purchasing or selling any items at this point, so we'll move on to our party exploits phase. All right, we have 4 weeks to spend, and I do have this card, an action card called Town That Cried Wolf. Play during the end turn phase on any party. Move that party marker to their starting town location. So that's kind of valuable. If we get into trouble, we would be able to move directly back to our home base. So now we have to decide on a course of action here. All right, the Ashen Veil's devotion level is currently at 4. And when they move up to 6, that's when they're going to be gaining the next level benefits. So we've got a little bit of time before that happens, but it might be wise for us to launch an attack on an Ashen Veil location. If we can complete an encounter there, we'll automatically get rid of that control from them, and we would be able to move their devotion level down 1. So that's a possibility for us. Another choice would be to keep pursuing our strategy at gaining resources. I think we're going to start out with a move deed, and we'll see what kind of movement we've got available to us. And we've rolled a 3. Our movement bonus is 4, so we've got 7 movement points. All right. I think we're going to go after this resource. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll move into that resource location. And then we're going to spend 2 weeks and do a resource deed. And once again, I'm going to select a plains encounter. And this encounter reads, Biodiesel Plant. It is incredibly difficult to locate or salvage usable fuel in the Fallen Lands. The harsh reality is a result of the negative effects of time, rarity of usable liquid fuels, and the damage caused by the EMP warheads during the Great War. Fuel is now literally worth its weight in blood. Stumbling upon a huge biodiesel facility on the outskirts of this ruined town is like winning the lottery. Ransacking the main office, you locate the chemical recipe. This will be useful for your faction if you can decipher the code. All right, well, we're going to get 8 salvage to start out. Then we're going to have to perform a level 3 mechanical and level 3 technical skill test. Let's see if we can pass it. All right, we'll start with the level 3 mechanical test. Okay, that roll doesn't look too good, but we'll see what happens. Well, with the thanks of John Upton, he participated and gave us 2 successes. We ended up with a total of 4. Now, that's enough to pass the first mechanical test. Now we have to do a technical test. Okay, here is our technical test. And those numbers look pretty good. We'll see how we do. And we ended up with a total of 5 successes, and we didn't even need to use our reroll for Samuel Young. And we've got 5 successes, and that's a pass. And that success reads, contacting your town via shortwave radio, you relay the chemical recipe and make a large batch. While the fuel is plentiful, you stock up, allowing for much faster travel. There is even enough here to trade. We're going to gain 3 town health and 2 weeks for our party exploits phase this month. That is great. So with that success, moves our town health up to 42, and we've now got 3 weeks of time to spend. In addition, since we've passed that test, we're going to gain control of another resource. And it's going to move us up the track up to 4 town health and 16 salvage. All right, we've got 3 weeks of time left with that new fuel that we've got. So I think we're going to spend a week and we will undertake a move deed. So let's see what kind of movement points we've got. We're at +4 and we've got a total of 7. All right, 7 movement points. Well, I think we're going to travel to this point of interest, and we're going to undertake an encounter deed there, and if we're successful, we can get rid of that point of interest, which at present is the founding church of the Children of the Ashen Veil. So let's make our move. We've got 7 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a plains location. We're going to spend 1 week. That leaves us with a week, and we're going to undertake a plains encounter in that location. All right, and this encounter is seized in the night. It's a mystery. Denoted by rusting signs, the vacant and dilapidated Lazy Creek RV Park seems like a good place to spend the night. However, The surrounding forest grows ever more ominous as the daylight wanes. Something unsettling creeps upward from your bellies, the unmistakable sensation of being watched. It is unanimous. A guard will be placed early tonight. Grumbling, everyone draws straws to see who will take the first watch. The winners bed down for some rest. As dawn breaks, you wake and realize everyone slept through the night. Your guard is missing. Okay, so we have to roll a d6 for a random character crown. A 6, or empty crown, is re-rolled. Discard that character, place their equipment to the side. Uh-oh. Well, we're going to begin by gaining 2 salvage. We'll add that to our total. And now we got to make a roll for a random character crown. All right, let's see who is going to be the one getting the guard duty. The result is a 2. All right, so that is going to be Samsara Chakravarti. All right, he's got the duty. So that character is going to be discarded and their equipment will be left to the side. So we will do that. So the group is going to have to pass a level 4 survival test, and then they're going to have to make a psychological check. As we're in an Ashen Veil controlled location, we have to subtract 1 success. So in reality, we're going to need a total of 5 to pass this. And worse yet, we have to do this without our number 2 character crown. We have to use our remaining character crowns to try to get, in this case, 5 successes. So here's the roll. Okay, that's our rolls. We'll see how we did. Well, unfortunately, we didn't do very well, and we've only managed a total of 2 successes, and we actually have to subtract 1 from that. So we will do that. It's because of the Ashen Veil influence, so we failed. The failure portion on the card reads, after a frantic search, you cannot find any trace of your companion or their equipment. Regrettably, you must get back on the road. So we've lost our friend Samsara, and all of his equipment is gone. Now, one thing I do have is we have a flare gun that's currently in the possession of Curtis Wyatt, and we might end up using that. And that says, discard to ignore the failure portion of an encounter or mission card. So we could do that. We can sacrifice this for that. It would discard the, we would be able to ignore the failure portion. Well, that doesn't mean we get the success portion though, so that doesn't really help. If we would have succeeded, we would have found the missing character's equipment. But, so I don't think that will help us. I guess we'll just keep the flare gun, and we're going to lose all traces of our character crown number 2. Now what we have to do now is do a psychological check. All right, a psychological check is going to be a D10 roll for each character. And we're going to examine their psychological resistance number on their card. If the die result of the D10 roll is greater than the listed value on their card, they're going to take psych damage. So we're going to roll a die for each of those character crowns and then compare their psych damage. All right, so we'll put these dice out on their cards and then we can examine how they did. All right, let's take a look here. Well, we've got Lieutenant Commander Red Naxala. He had a 5, he rolled an 8, so he's going to be gaining some psych damage from the sight of the remains of their friend. So we'll mark him with psych damage. Juan Upton, he passed his test. He had a 3 and he rolled a 1, so he's fine. Samuel Young had a 3. He rolled a 4, so he is going to gain psych damage. And we'll mark him accordingly. And finally, we have Curtis Wyatt. He had a psych value of 2. He rolled a 3, so he is also going to gain psych damage. All right. Now, if they ever take a total of 3 psych damage or more during the end turn, they basically go insane and they're removed from play. And I believe it's with all of their equipment. So we mourn the loss of our friend Samsara. And unfortunately, we have to continue on. So we weren't able to successfully complete an encounter in that space, so their point of interest, their church, is still there. We can't find it, evidently. We have 1 week of time left, and I think we will do a movement deed. So we'll make a roll for movement, and we have a bonus of 4 currently. And that's incorrect. Samsara was giving us a 1 movement point bonus. He's no longer with us. So our movement bonus goes down to 3. Okay, here's the roll. And we've got a 5, so that's a total of 8 movement points. All right, I think we're going to have to head back. We can't stay out in the wilds of the Fallen Lands with only 4 character crowns active plus our vehicles. So I think we're going to head back towards our base camp, and I'm probably going to end up playing this card, Town That Cried Wolf, anyway, and that will allow us to get back there immediately. But we'll take the movement deed. We have to, as a matter of fact, to spend up all of our weeks of available during the month. So we've got 8 movement points. So we'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, that completes our party exploits phase. We'll move to the end phase, and we've got to resolve our town event card. And during the end turn phase, it says if you procure or upgrade a medical center town technology before the end of this turn, we can draw a character card and place it in the roster. Well, we haven't done that, so nothing further will happen. And I have to say, I'm enjoying those town event cards. That really brightens up the solitaire play, in my opinion. I think it's much better than the old town events chart. I hope they will be releasing additional town events cards, supplements in the future. And I think I'm going to play this action card, Town That Cried Wolf. Play during the end turn phase on any party. Move the party marker to their starting town location. So we're going to do that. That'll move us back home, and we'll be able to supplement our party from our town roster characters. All right, next step is to resolve a red dot action card. So we'll draw one of those and see what the unknown enemies in the Fallen Lands are going to do to us this time. All right, the red dot action card is Incursion. Play on an opponent during the effects phase and choose one of the following. Select one of their resources to revert to neutral, force them to immediately discard 2 town defense chips, or remove all action cards attached to their town playmat. Well, that's not too good. And incidentally, they had a card, a red dot action card, that we should have played on us during the party exploits phase. We would have received a 2-week penalty, and on a 1 or 2, our characters would take 2 physical damage, ignoring armor. We'll have to play that next turn. I forgot about that. All right. Next, we're going to make a roll to see if we're going to reveal an undiscovered faction. On a die roll of 1, that will occur. Rolls of 4, so no undiscovered factions. We have no hostile factions that are going to contribute additional red dot action cards, and therefore we have no faction raids to worry about. So we'll take care of our Ashen Veil actions. First step is their devotion is going to move up, and devotion level is 5. When they get to 6, they're going to have another devotional perk that will kick in. And now we're going to make a roll on the Veil table. Let's see what happens. The result is a 3. Corrupt the faithful. We're going to lose D3 salvage as the children purge the region of filthy lucre and reduce town resistance by 1. Oh no. Alright, so we're going to lose D3 salvage. It's 2, so we'll lose 2 salvage coins. But worse yet, our resistance is going to drop. Our resistance level will drop from 7 down to 6, and that's potentially going to end up being a problem. We have ways we can increase that. We need to have salvage coins, and we have to be back at our home base, and we're able to do that once per turn with those conditions present, and we can increase our town resistance to the evil doctrines of the Ashen Veil. That's going to be a temporary thing because it costs 20 salvage in order to do that, and we can only do that once, so once per turn. Okay, that is going to bring the turn to a close. We'll advance our turn marker up to 6, and that completes the round. And since we're back at our home base, we're going to introduce a new character into character crown number 2, and that's going to be Mac Luther, Soldier of Fortune. Frickin' amateurs. I don't die that easy. Okay. Well, he has no heavy weapon, so we don't get a link for him yet. I decided to give him the Duke's cowboy outfit. It'll help him with a little bit with combat and survival. He has very good stats, and the Duke's cowboy outfit also gives him an extra point for his psychological defense. And he also has built-in armor. That's pretty good. And he has an excellent portage capability up to 17, so he's a pretty good guy. And I had an oversight. When we lost our town resistance point, we should have been able to make a roll for our town defense chips. That's what I've got written in the rules. We've got a total of 3 town defense chips. And that says, in addition to normal function of town defense tokens, they also possess the ability to resist the influence of the Ashen Veil's psychological attacks. Whenever the town resistance would be lowered, we can roll a d6 for each town defense token. On a 6, we can cancel 1 point of resistance loss. All right. So we're going to roll 3d6, and if we can get a 6 on any of those dice, we can cancel the 1 point of loss. Here's the roll. We have a 6. So in that case, our town defense chips protected us, and we'll put our town resistance back to 7. That's good. Now, we were pretty fortunate with having the Sigma Corporation because we started the game with Veritable Fortress faction perk, and that gave us the 2 town defense chips to start. In addition, we happened to draw 1 Upton, which gave us a 3rd. And in most cases, you don't have 3 town defense chips until much later in the game. So that's been pretty helpful for us in defending our town from the psychological ideologies of the Ashen Veil. All right, we're going to get started with turn 6, and our opponents are going to play this red dot action card, Incursion. Play on an opponent during the effects phase, which is what we're in now, and choose one of the following. Select one of their resources to revert to neutral status, force them to immediately discard 2 town defense chips, or remove all action cards attached to the playmat. Well, obviously they're going to select the 2 town defense chips, and that's going to lower us down to 1 town defense chip. It was a very powerful red dot action card for our opponents. Okay, next up is our town business phase, and we're going to receive our action card. Let's see what we've got this time. And we draw the card Government Transparency. It has a value of 13. Play during the effects phase. Attach this card to your town playmat. Each town business phase, subtract 1 from your town events roll. Well, we're not using the town events rolls, so We'll probably end up selling that for 13. Our town events card for the turn is Auspicious Conditioning. As the leaders of your town, you and your small council have carefully planned ahead. In fact, that's one of your strong suits. Earlier this month, you solved a water crisis with ease, with a backup system already in place. Gain 3 town health and 9 salvage. Then receive your choice of an action, character, or spoils card. All right, so our town health is going to increase to 45, and we're going to gain 9 salvage coins. That moves us up to 23 salvage, and then we can receive a choice of an action, character, or spoils card. I think we'll take the spoils card because we need to get some equipment for Mac Luther. And we draw the card Switchblade Knife. It's a melee weapon, and that'll give a slight bonus to combat and mechanical and medical. So we'll give that to Mac Luther. All right, we'll go to our resource phase, and we're going to be getting a total of 4 town health, and in our case, 15 salvage because of the Ashen Veil's devotion. All right, that's going to move us up to a total of 38 salvage, which is pretty good. We'll move on to our financial phase, and we'll start with our auction house. Maybe we can buy some extra equipment. All right, these are the 3 offers we have. We've got a 9mm submachine gun, basic laptop, and Reaver's spiked flail. All right, I think we're going to buy all of them. It's going to cost us a total of 28 salvage. It's going to leave us with 10 salvage points left, and I'm going to use those during the purchase phase to purchase a town defense chip if I can. This is going to be our second, so I won't have enough. That only costs 15, and we only have 10. So we'll preserve the 10 for next turn, but we're going to purchase these 3 items. I've assigned all of that equipment to our new character, Mark Luther. And with the basic laptop, it gives us a +1 to movement. So we'll go back to our +4 movement bonus. We're going to move on to the sell phase, and I forgot about this. We have this action card, Government Transparency. It's worth 13. I'm going to sell that because that's not very useful to us in solo play. So we'll gain 13 salvage. And now during the purchase phase, we can pay 15 and purchase our second town defense chip. And we will do so. And that will be very helpful for us. That leaves us with a total of 8 salvage. We're going to move on to our party exploits phase. And unfortunately, our enemies are going to play a red dot action card on us. And the card's revealed to be Bridge Out. Play during the party exploits phase on an opponent. That's us. They receive a 2-week penalty chip and roll a d6. On a 1 or 2, each of their party characters take 2 physical damage, ignoring armor. Okay, so we've got a 2-week penalty right now. So we'll roll a die and see if we're going to take physical damage from this Bridge Out. Rolls a 6, so we've avoided that, but we are going to have only 2 weeks of time for this month. Now the Ashen Veil are currently at a devotion level of 5. During the end phase, they're going to be, unless we can do something about it, they will move up to 6, and that's going to unlock Ash Sermons. All skill checks are -1 success as the Ashen Veil's influence grows. So that is going to be very tough for us to deal with. And there's a few ways we can try to bring that devotion level down, and one of them is attacking Ashen Veil locations. So we've got only 2 weeks to spend during this month. We'll start out with a move deed. Our bonus is 4, so we've got 8 movement points. And I think we're going to try to get into that Ashen Veil territory in Texas and Oklahoma. So we've got 8 movement points, and we will move 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think we'll spend all of our remaining points to move 1 additional point, moving into the city somewhere in Indiana. All right, that leaves us with 1 week of time, and we're going to undertake an encounter deed for that week. And in this case, it has to be a city radiation encounter. It's going to allow us to draw a spoils or action card before attempting it. It says any spoils card can be equipped immediately, so I think we'll take the spoils card and we'll see what that is. And we end up with a vehicle. Classic All-American Performance Muscle Car. Each time a character card is received as a reward, draw one additional character card. All right, it's a value of 19. Now these are the current vehicles we're using. We have the matching Baja buggies, and we're able to use Old Rusty as a reserve. It says can be used in conjunction with another vehicle. So our option now is to replace that matching Baja buggies with the classic All-American Performance Muscle Car. And I think we are going to do that because the benefits are +4 to movement bonus rather than a +2. So I think we will do that. So this is going to be our new vehicle display, and we're going to be able to move our movement up to a bonus of 6 now. Now I'm going to have to check to see what we do with the Baja buggies that we're replacing. I don't know if we can send those back to our auction house or if we've made the swap, they're abandoned. I'll see if I can find that in the rules. Well, I couldn't find anything in the rules regarding that, so I'm going to have to assume that we just abandon the matching Baja buggies. I don't know what else we could do, so we will do so. Now we're going to have to undertake a city encounter. And this encounter is entitled Test Subject versus the Machine. You realize your most valuable weapon has just gone missing. You spot a young teenager clad in rags who quickly disappears around the corner. Set aside your most valuable weapon. Okay, we're going to gain 9 salvage, and we have to undertake a level 5 survival test. Well, our most valuable weapon is Curtis Wyatt's experimental laser rifle, and that is a relic. So that has to be set aside, it says. So now we're going to undertake our level 5 survival test. All right, we'll do our level 5 survival test. Okay, those are the rolls, and we'll see what we do with this. All right, we ended up with 6 successes. So we've passed the level 5 survival test, and we'll see what happens. And the success portion of that card says, you track the thief to an old hockey arena. As you enter, the doors slam shut and spotlights flicker to life. A huge door opens, revealing an experimental armored battle mech, equipped with dual 40mm cannons on each arm. It rumbles to life and opens fire. You sprint for cover as the guns shred the glass behind you. No fight is possible here. You are trapped. Uh-oh. And I should say that says flight. No flight is possible here. You are trapped. So we're going to have to perform a level 5 combat test, a level 7 combat test, and then we'll have to make a psychological test. All right, we'll make our level 5 combat test and see how we do. And a more tougher 7 level coming up after this. Okay, that roll looks pretty good. We'll see how we did. Well, we ended up with a total of 9 successes. So we passed the first combat test. Now we have to perform a level 7 combat test. And now the level 7 combat test. Okay, and we'll see how we did. Well, we finished with 7 successes. It's just enough. Now we're going to have to undertake a psychological test. So each of our character crowns is going to roll and compare with their psychological levels. Here's the roll. All right, red is a 6, and his level was 5. He's going to take another psych damage. So we'll place another psych damage on him. That's not good. Mac Luther ended up rolling a 5. His psychological total is 7 with that Duke's cowboy outfit, so he's okay. Juan Upton rolled a 2, he's okay. He was at a 3 plus 1 is 4. Then we have Samuel Young. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. We should have used the yellow or green here. It's a 5. And his total was 3, 4, so he will get 1. Samuel Young has a total of 3, 4, 5, and he rolled a 2, so he's all right. And Curtis Wyatt, he rolled a 1. His total was 2, so he's fine. That wasn't too bad for the psychological damage, but Lieutenant Commander Nexella is at 2. One more and he's going to go crazy. So we'll read the success portion on the card. It says, as the mech turns to focus on your gunner, the rest of your group circles behind to snipe at its pilot. As you hit your mark, the guns fall silent. You track down the thief and retrieve your stolen weapon. Gain a prestige and 4 spoils cards. That's great. So our prestige moves up to 3, and we'll get 4 spoils cards. So we're going to get our experimental laser rifle back, which is great. And our spoils cards that we received for completing the test subject versus the machine are an event, the Mother Load, 5.56 millimeter military rifle, top of the line stun gun, and silenced 9 millimeter submachine gun. All right. Now this Mother Load event says you have discovered a secret room. During game setup, discard this card and draw a new spoils card. Otherwise, immediately draw 5 spoils cards, then discard this card. Well, that is great. So our new spoils cards are going to include a flamethrower, high-tech crossbow, a survival knife, 5.56 millimeter light machine gun, and a Humvee. All right. Well, this Humvee is really nice. It says all hexes cost 1 movement point. I'm wondering if we should take that. It's also equipped with a 7.62 millimeter M60A3 turret. I think we will. We'll end up substituting that for our new car that we just got, the classic All-American. Okay, then all this other equipment I'm going to disperse to our characters. Now, a couple nice items here. We've got these relics, and this silenced 9mm submachine gun gives us a first strike capability. So we'll have to see if we can fit all of this with our characters. Now we've got this heavy weapon. Now that is going to give us a link for Mac Luther. He has heavy weapons link, not to mention +1 prestige. So that's going to be pretty good. I'm going to assign these to our characters. All right, I've signed our equipment. It was pretty tough to get enough carrying capacity for all this stuff, especially the flamethrower that had a cost of 7. But we managed to fit everything in. Pretty much everyone is kind of maxed out, maybe with the exception of Juan Upton. He's still got a little room left because he's getting +4 with Chris, the trophy wife, to help him. He's got 20, and he's using up 9 right now. All right, we're going to move on to the end turn phase. We've already resolved our town event, so we'll move on to the red card action deck step. And the red dot action card is Merciless Slaughter. Play during the effects phase on an opponent. And we're going to lose 2 prestige. You discover the horrible crimes of your opponent. Their horrendous crimes must have consequences. Oh boy. So 2 prestige we're going to lose at the start of the next turn during the effects phase. Now we're going to make a roll for our undiscovered factions. And on a roll of 1, we will discover a faction's location. Rolls of 4, so nothing there. There will be no hostile faction rolls, no faction raids, so we'll move on to the Ashen Veil actions. It's going to increase their devotion level by 1. They're up to 6, and they're going to gain another unlocked perk. And the next perk they've unlocked is Ash Sermons. All skill checks are at -1 success as the Ashen Veil's influence grows. So it's going to make our life a lot harder. We'll have to try to bring that devotion level down so that level 6 is not active. Now we'll make a roll for the Veil table. Here's the roll, 1 to 6. Roll to 1. Let's gather ash. The children gain control over 2 random locations adjacent to previously controlled locations. Okay. Well, they've gained control of this place here in Texas, Space 88, and they're also going to gain control of the next closest location, which is going to be one of our resource locations. Now, I have it in the rules for town defense chips. It states, whenever the town resistance would be lowered, we roll a d6 for each town defense token. Also, if the Ashen Veil capture a player resource location, in addition to the normal effects, roll a d6 for each town defense token and lower Ashen Veil influence by 1 on a result of 5 or 6. Maximum of 1 influence loss per site. Okay, so they've managed to destroy that resource area. That's going to lower our town resources by 1. And now we've got 2 town defense chips that we can use. And that will allow us a d6 roll for each. And on a 5 or 6, we can reduce the level on Ashen Veil Devotion. That's a mistake. I wrote influence, but it means devotion. So that's what I'm intending. I'll have to change that. I'll make a note of that as well. So we're going to get 2d6 for our town defense chips, and hopefully we can roll a 5 or 6 on one of these to stop or to limit their expansion of their devotion. Here's the roll. We got a 6, so that was enough. And our town defense chips kicked in. And what that represents is our town defense people that are protecting these sites. They inflicted some casualties on the Ashen Veil. So we're going to move them down to 5, which is huge. And that stops them from enacting their next devotional level, which is great. And so all we have left is to move our town marker up 1 to 7, and that's going to bring the turn to a close. And I think I'm going to bring this video to a close. I think before I do, I'm going to show you some of the other mechanics that we haven't seen in the game yet, and just give you a brief overview of what those are. First is the non-player factions. I have a discovery mechanism there where if a faction activity is triggered, we will find out whether or not the faction exists or if it is abandoned or dormant. If it does exist, we're going to make a roll in the faction table, and that will tell us whether it's a friendly, neutral, or hostile faction. And incidentally, I want to thank one of the viewers that left a very helpful comment, and that was to have me rearrange the order in which these alignments are occurring. I had it where it was hostile, neutral, and then friendly, and he commented that, and very rightly so, that bad results are usually associated with high numbers. So I've adjusted that, and that makes perfect sense, and I want to thank him for that. Then, after we find out what the faction alignment is, we have several things we can do to interact with those factions, depending upon if they're friendly, neutral, or hostile. Now, when one of those factions becomes active, we're going to check this NPF table that I've designed. It's going to give us an alignment modifier, minuses, making it easier for the faction to be friendly, or pluses, making it more likely they will be hostile. Also have skill ratings, and that'll be a certain number plus a certain number of dice, and that will equal their skill ratings for any skill, whether it be combat or something else. And these will be operating very similar to NPCMs. I also have a note on here if they have a first strike capability and a random health amount. And I based all of this based on the excellent background stories that were created for each of the factions. Same situation will happen for health. We'll roll the indicated dice, adding it to the base number, and that will be their health for PvP combat. And as well, they have a movement rating, and that's based upon the description as well, and that would be their movement. If they decide to conduct raids, once they're out on the board, their token will be able to raid the nearest locations based on their raid logic. I've also created a table for action faction status table. After we make the rolls on the NPF table, we would use this table to record their alignment, whether it's friendly, neutral, or hostile, and then the total skill, health, and movement that they have. And so I'm going to bring this video to a close. I hope you enjoyed this sample playthrough of this scenario that I've created, Children of the Ashen Veil. I'm going to make the changes that I have found, and I'm going to post this for anyone that wants to try it out. I'll place it on BGG. I'm going to leave the comments open for this video, and you can maybe let me know if you'd like me to continue with this or move on to something else. That'll be very helpful in me determining my coming schedule. In October, we've got our Halloween month coming up with my annual horror month, and I'll be featuring a selection of horror-themed games during October. But until now, we've got August and September, and I'm trying to put together a viewing schedule based upon your excellent comments that you gave in a question that I posed on my community page. And that was very helpful. It looks like right now the next most popular game after Fallen Land is going to be a return to This War of Mine. And if you'd like to place any comments in this video regarding the upcoming programming, that would also be very helpful. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again on the channel in the near future. In the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club, signing off and wishing everyone a pleasant evening and happy gaming. Good night.